Minnesota, make it clear immigrants are welcome here, was one common refrain. The scene was reminiscent of last Friday, when thousands also marched in sub-zero temperatures, just hours before 37-year-old Alex Preddy was shot and killed by 2 Border Patrol agents as he resisted arrest after videotaping deportation action in the street.
Resisted arrest?
The Justice Department has said it will conduct a civil rights investigation into that incident. Music legend Bruce Springsteen also made a surprise appearance at a benefit concert nearby, singing his new song, Streets of Minneapolis, inspired by recent events in the city. Kat Lonsdorf, NPR News, Minneapolis.
It's a good song.
NPR has begun to review millions of pages of Epstein files released by the Department of Justice.
You want to reveal
today.
anything from them yet?
Stephen Fowler has more.
Like other releases, these files are heavily redacted. DOJ says part of the delay in releasing the files was to protect victims, but NPR has found examples of Epstein victims' names and photos that were not redacted, while in at least one case, President Trump's face was blocked out. There are more court records, unvetted tips to the FBI, and more of Epstein's private correspondence, including messages with Elon Musk, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and other powerful figures from across the ideological spectrum. Being mentioned in the files is not a sign of wrongdoing or association with Epstein's crimes. Stephen Fowler.
Why are you saying that like that's a fact?
South Carolina has now confirmed 847 measles cases, including 50.
It's not an exoneration of being associated with Epstein either.
The size of the state's outbreak has now surpassed the major West Texas outbreak that spread from January to August of last year.
You're murdering your kids and other people, you dumbass Trump-ooniers, all for RFK Jr. and
Health
Putin.
officials were surprised by the speed at which the outbreak was spreading.
We did not anticipate that South Carolina case counts in a matter of only 16 weeks would surpass
of course
the
they
total
would.
number of cases
South Carolina?
in
How many
Texas
Trumpers you got
over
there?
the course of 7 months. So this is a milestone that we have reached in a relatively short period of time.
You sound like you're asking for a reward.
The outbreak is centered in Spartanburg County in the northwest part of the state.
For Putin,
more than
for Trump
440 people are currently in quarantine. Public
for
health
Putin, you're doing a lot.
Movies. She also played the self-centered whiny movies. She also played the self-centered whiny matriarch in the Riches to Rags TV sitcom with the rascally name Schitt's Creek.
Taking your picture with a motley crew of pale, dewy-faced salamander people. I haven't hit rock bottom quite yet.
O'Hara won awards for that role, teaming up with her longtime friend and fellow Canadian Eugene Levy. They first collaborated in the 1970s and 80s on the sketch comedy show SCTV, which she also wrote for. O'Hara and Levy also paired up in several mockumentaries, including Best in Show and A Mighty Wind.
There's a kiss at the end of the rainbow.
In a career that spanned decades, O'Hara also had memorable turns in the movie Beetlejuice and the TV sitcom The Studio. Mandalit Del Barco, NPR News.
Lindsey Vonn crashed during a downhill race in Switzerland on Friday. The 41-year-old US skier injured her left knee when she became tangled in the safety nets. After Vonn received medical attention, she was able to walk away from the crash. The race was later canceled after 3 of the first 6 racers crashed. It's not known if the injury will prevent her from racing in the Winter Olympics in Italy, which will get underway next week. Vonn, however, said after the crash that her Olympic dream is not over. I'm Dale William, NPR News in Washington.
Tell me that was the plan at the
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Wallace Foundation, an independent, nonpartisan research foundation collaborating with grantees and partners in the arts, school leadership, and youth development. More at wallacefoundation.org. This is NPR.
Be back in a minute.
Pokemon Go to it, I explained.
Pokemon
My
Go
name
to
is
it.
Deja Tolentino. I am an internet culture reporter, previously of NBC News, and I currently write a newsletter called Yap Year.
Can we first just start with why did this 2016 trend come back online? Where did it start?
It's been building up since last year, especially on TikTok.
It's been 10 years since 2016. Let's go back into the time machine. We were fidget spinning.
In my opinion, the mid-2010s was the last time culture truly peaked.
Gen Z is obsessed with 2016. We're seeing a huge shift in nostalgic content.
People have been slowly bringing back 2016 trends, whether that's the mannequin challenge, the Black Beatles song, or pink wall aesthetics and these really warm, hazy Instagram filters. People have been kind of, romanticizing this time since earlier last year in 2025. And when we entered the new year in 2026, there were a lot of TikToks saying that 2026 was going to be like 2016.
2026, it's like 2016 all over again. It's giving 2016 vibes. Now that it's 2026, that means 2016 is back.
Which I was curious about because it's kind of like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
I don't actually think people know what that means at all. Then, a couple weeks ago, you see a lot of people on Instagram, especially like peak Instagram influencers, posting themselves at their peak, really, in 2016.
Heard we're going back to 2016. Scrolling through my camera roll, it feels like peeking into another lifetime. One I lived entirely behind a lens.
2016, but same baby face.
Peak 2016. Snapchat filters and all.
I took 5,000 photos in 2016. By the time I get through looking through all of them, this meme will have passed.
Which inspired then everybody to post their own 2016 photos.
And this trend got really big. According to TikTok, searches for 2016 surged by 452%. Spotify showed a 71% increase in 2016 playlists last year compared to 2024. And also big artists from 2016 have been making a comeback. And so in your newsletter, you've kind of tried to define what the 2016 mood board is. Can you just explain that for me? Like, when we're thinking 2016 vibes, what do we mean?
Not a genocide. Before Trump completely destroyed our country.
Makeup gurus on YouTube blow up at this time.
Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We are going to be chatting about...
Hi guys, this is James Charles. Welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Jackie Ida.
And the makeup at the time is extremely maximalist. It's very, full glam, full beat, very matte, very colorful, some neon wigs at this time. You have
just describe some more about the makeup thing.
This year,
I'm sorry, I cannot stand this being the news.
Just realizing stuff.
2016, I think, was such a pivotal moment in internet culture. I think that is when we started to really enter this influencer era in full force. And prior to that, we had creators, but we didn't have as much, monetization infrastructure to be everything.
You hadn't had TikTok yet.
And so, people were posting whatever they wanted to post. And then it also was the year that it changes algorithm towards a more algorithmic feed versus a...
Algorithmic, by which you mean?
Friends only chronological.
Alt-right, maximizing fascism.
People have
coincidence.
which has been a tumultuous time.
You can say fascist.
I mean, I remember pretty tumultuous events, particularly in the political landscape, like Brexit.
He has voted to leave. It is great ideas to make America great again. That's all.
Why do you think people are only cherry picking the good parts of 2016 and ignoring what were real tension points of that time?
I think
because
that
it hadn't come
a
to
lot
fruition
of people
yet.
are looking back
It's
at
the Trumpism.
2016.
If you don't say it's
so
pre-Trump, you're not
because
saying shit.
It was one of the last years in which we engaged in a monoculture together, and we had shared pieces of culture that we could
And
remember.
what destroyed
and we could
that?
all remember
Trumpism.
Closer being on the radio like 24/7 at the time.
Oh my god, that song sucks. It's one thing we don't miss about there not being 2016
Everybody says
anymore.
2016 because it is the last time they remember unification in any way, right? Not that people were politically unified at this time, but
It was
it
pre-Trump.
feels like
Just say the fucking
last
words.
kind of moment
Pre-Trump.
of normalcy before this
Trump.
entire decade of turmoil.
Turmoil.
As much
Oh, it's turmoil.
as there was so much
Like it's a fucking weather
change and
pattern.
disruption happening in 2016.
No, it's because
whether that's
Putin gave you
Donald Trump,
Brexit
whether
and
that's
Putin gave us
Brexit, or
Trump.
even the rise of like
And Facebook
Bernie
and Twitter
Sanders.
helped.
can do much, much better as a nation.
Like feeling the brand. There's so many, people who were so excited about that. I think there was a feeling of disruption that could be mistaken for general optimism. And in a way, it is optimism, right?
It was optimism. If we'd been able to actually elect Bernie, you would have seen what optimism looks like.
2016 that did not
We would have all become more optimistic because things would have been better.
But I think a lot of people can remember that feeling and the shared culture that we all had that nobody really is able to share in these days.
Because Trump-Putiners are in an alternate reality of zombification.
When they looked hotter, right? But I do think that what you're saying
Y'all
makes
talked
a
about it for
lot
15,
of
20
sense.
minutes.
You know, I think up until maybe it's that election or certainly I think the years that follow.
Y'all talked about 2016 for 15 minutes and 2026 when there's a genocide and our country's on the brink of collapse.
Of a shared political identity. I think the last decade has really disrupted. I can see how that plays into the nostalgia for 2016 and that time. But I gotta say at the same time, I do wonder about particularly young people living in such nostalgia. Like, I'm 32. I can't imagine 10 years ago me thinking that the best years were behind me and not in front. Am I just being old? Or like, does some of this feel like a generation that's been raised on remakes and sequels, you know, looking back instead of looking forward?
Yeah, and I have, you know, noticed this retroactive obsession for, like I said, the entire 2020s, and especially as
everybody pines for a pre-Trump era.
I shouldn't be like
before Trump ruined everything.
Being 17 was the best years of my life.
Like, it gets better. You know?
No, like I swear to God, everybody, like it gets better. No, I've always been worried in a way that like culture is too obsessed with looking back, right? Because a lot of, you know, you run out of references and you also are unable to imagine a better future forward.
Yeah.
And that is always really concerning. That is always an indication that like there's a loss of hope. But I think that this year it seems like the energy online is interested in creating something new and introducing friction and moving forward from this constant need for escapism that the internet has provided us. For the past 10 years, I have seen that kind of rise, you know, alongside this nostalgia that has been so widely publicized and widely talked about. I think people are ready for new things. I think people are ready to move on from like constant escapism that the internet and social media brings, including
it's not all escapism.
Nostalgia.
Some of us engage in things on the internet and actually address issues and problems. But you wouldn't know
from about internet and culture for the newsletter Yap Year. Now, if hearing people that are nostalgic for the Chainsmokers or feeling the burn makes you feel old, well, you might just be old. That's coming up.
Congratulations. Being old is much better than the alternative. Youth is the delusion we all eventually
every aspect
hopefully dispel.
One simple business management platform. More information at odoo.com.
You eventually grow out of the delusion
Thank you to
of
the
youth.
hundreds of individuals
Now you can stay in the delusion of youth as long as you want.
Over $10,000
That's just a joke.
to Colorado Public Radio. CPR serves Colorado, and donor support
That was
is
just a
essential
joke.
to that mission. We're so grateful for your trust, partnership, and passion.
We're back with New York Magazine's Emily Gould. If millennial nostalgia is a growing...
Every organ, every muscle, all of those cells are degenerating faster. Like you're so much press when it came out, and I think it was just the idea of 44 being the age that you really become middle-aged. It resonated for a lot of people, regardless of whether they were feeling it in their own bodies or their own souls. I just put the call out for anyone who had particularly dramatic health or life things happen to them during the year that they were 44, was shocked by the response I couldn't see. I went from having 20/20 vision to needing glasses overnight. I stopped being able to drink. I'd have a glass of wine and be hungover to like, I don't recognize my own face in the mirror. I had no wrinkles, and all of a sudden my face is like sliding off my skull. So this put the fear of God into me. I had not yet turned 44 when I was doing this research. And so I started to think about like, okay, I know myself. I'm not going to overhaul my whole life. I don't have the budget. I don't have the stamina. Can I do any incremental changes that will make 44 more smoothly?
You know, the people you were talking to, how were they trying to mitigate the effects of aging, and how has that changed in recent years?
I was more interested ultimately in talking to people who seemed really at home in themselves as older people, and also who had a spirit of youthfulness. And I would always chalk that up to nothing that is visible on the exterior and nothing that comes from, you know, a cream that you can smear on your skin or like a pill that you can take or an injection that you can take. But more than anything else, just open-mindedness and being willing to be wrong about things, being willing to change your mind even as you get older is the key thing to remaining like youthful in spirit.
You were taking on this process as you were about to, you know, see your 44th birthday. How did it affect how you were approaching that age in general?
Part of it was just psychologically, I wanted to get my mind around the idea that our culture feeds us, which is that aging is a problem to be solved. And it's something, you know, the anti-aging industry is a $1 billion industry. They're constantly selling us products that are gonna like fix the problem of aging.
Botox Cosmetic, the only FDA-approved treatment for the temporary improvement of both moderate to severe frown lines and crow's feet.
Powered by purified peptides to significantly decrease the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles in just 2 weeks.
Visibly improved lines and wrinkles after 7 days with high-performance retinol technology.
And I knew I didn't want to think about it like that. I wanted to think about like, how do I get to a place where like I'm an old person who's happy with my life rather than a young person trapped in an old person.
Yeah, no, that's real.
And I think just, you know, talking to people who are much older than me was one of the most important ways that I ended up getting there.
It definitely seemed as if throughout the piece there was a kind of mental aspect to approaching aging or in staying young that you were identifying. You know, are we talking like The Secret, like positive thinking? Like, what do we mean when we say that there was a frame of mind that some of those people got in that allowed them to be more comfortable with aging?
I'm going to contradict myself because I was just talking about staying youthful, you know, as something aspirational. But something else that I think is aspirational is accepting the age that you are and being grateful for the good things that come with aging. One of them, ultimately, I mean, this really resonated with me, was when one of the women who I interviewed toward the end of the piece, Kim France, talked about how when you're younger and you've experienced trauma, whether it's a, you know, grief or loss or just a crisis in your life, something really life-altering, something where there's a clear before and after in your life. Not everyone is going to have shared that experience. But then as you get older, everyone has had that experience, and it's nice to be able to have that camaraderie.
There's an understanding about, as a consequence of time, you've had one of those experiences and you can share those more easily than if you're, you know, particularly someone who might feel a sense of shame about that earlier in your life.
Yeah, or just feel like you are alone in it, have no one to talk to among your peers, you know. And so that, I don't know, that sounded good to me.
Yeah, that does. I mean, is there any way that we think millennials might age differently than other generations? I'm thinking about the ways that millennials have experienced more economic insecurity, or the ways that, you know, it hasn't necessarily seem like, as your piece lays out, that we've achieved the life markers that other generations have in the time that was traditionally set. Is that going to matter as millennials get older in terms of how we age?
I mean, I almost don't want to think about it because it's so dark. You know.
You just don't have a house to age in.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with it in my mind. I mean, I don't know. I definitely don't have any of the financial stability markers that my parents did at my age, or you know, even that some of my peers have. But that's because of choices that I've made, such as
It's
living
also
in the most
because of the
expensive
economy.
city in the world for my entire adult life.
It's
You
also
know,
because
I
of our
chose
culture
that.
squeezing everybody for
I own
everything.
that. I don't own anything else. Literally. We are so used to things collapsing around us and to not having certainty and to not having stability. We have really been forced to roll with
Millennials
the
are so good
punches,
at that.
and most of us, I mean, hopefully, have developed a kind of resilience that I think will really serve us well with whatever's to come in our own bodies, in our own minds, and in the world around us.
It's funny because you mentioned kind of resilience among millennials, where we were just talking to a Gen Zer who was saying that they define millennials as optimistic. That feels to be a little at odds with what we're used to talking about, which is us seeing a generation who has seen kind of structures and institutions collapse around them. Like in the end, like it does feel like a dueling story about the same generation. Like, are we optimistic? Are we doomers? Are we doers? Are we slouches? Like what are we?
It may be the making huge generalizations about people who were born over a 10-year period of time is just like not an exact science.
But that's what
I
we're
do think
spending
that
another 10 minutes on the
in
radio
day,
about when there's a genocide and the collapse of
we all
America.
have both of those wolves living inside us.
You know, in your piece, you asked the question, would it be healthier to accept our certain decay and mortality than rage against the dying of the light or dewy glow, throwing as much time and money as possible into anti-aging measures? Now, do you feel like you have an answer to that now?
You know what would help
Which
everybody
one of
age
those
less is
is
ending
healthier
war and
to accept?
patriarchy and exploitation.
I mean, clearly,
But
it's
these types of
healthier
pieces
to
will
accept the
keep
inevitable
those things in
dimming
place.
of your dewy glow. But at the same time, it's like, I'll get back to you in 10 more years when I'm 55, and we'll see how I'm feeling about all of this stuff when I'm like actually old.
No, I love the line where you said staying young is in some part a matter of appreciating the opportunity to get old. Like, it felt to me like that kind of staying in the present that I was talking about, where in some ways it just speaks to that mindset shift you're identifying. Where
Exercise, try to have sex, fall in love, enjoy yourself,
if it's not seen as
read
an
the Oz
opportunity,
books, stay young at heart. Gosh, I felt like I got to 80 just listening to that 10-minute report about
Emily Gould is a
being
novelist
old.
and feature writer for New York Magazine. Check out our show notes
NPR
to read
really
about
wasted a half hour that
Falling Off the
time.
Aging Cliff at 44. Today's show was produced
Sorry
by Danielle
for
Hewitt,
amplifying
edited by
it
Amina Al-Sadi,
to the
fact-checked
small
by
degree
Andrea
that I
Lopez
did.
Cruzado, and engineered by Bridger Donegan and David Tatasciore.
That was awful.
I'm Astead Herndon, and you can hear me again tomorrow on our